So hello everyone, Volatile 42 here again. I just got my Gopro Hero 7 Black, and this is the very first vlog with it, and I don't really know how it's going to turn out, you know. So I also have my Senna going, so both of them are recording. So hopefully one of them will be able to get it, even if I have to mix the audio and video from you know, each other. So why did I get the GoPro when I had the Senna? Well, a few reasons. I'm going to talk about that later. So today the topic is the Powertronic that I installed about a couple of weeks back. So I've been riding with it for about a couple of weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. I mean, I installed it 2 weekends back, and I've been commuting to work pretty much all the weekdays in between. I did take my Vespa out for a couple of days, but all the other days have been on my Interceptor. So the lockdown is nearly over. As you can see, traffic is almost back to normal. Now, in a way, you know, you could say that you're getting all the bad things from the lockdown getting over. The traffic, for example. And the good things are not quite here yet. Yeah, you are allowed to travel outside the city, within the state, but it's still not very clear. You know, the rules are kind of changing from day to day. So there is a slight risk of, you know, getting stuck if you go out. So the Powertronic, how is it? Yeah, the difference is noticeable from stock, but it's not, you know, a huge difference. What I mean is, it's not gonna make the bike a lot more powerful and a lot more fun to ride. Yes, it does make it a little more fun, and more importantly, you know, by the way, before I start, I am currently riding on map 2, and most of the time I have been riding on map 2. I did some short durations in map 1, but so here's the thing. According to Race Dynamics, the maker of the Powertronic, map 1 is a slight improvement from stock, and map 2 is more of an improvement. So map 1 is primarily intended to be for city use, and if you're looking to, you know, get the minimal impact to your fuel consumption, map 2 will have a higher impact on the consumption, but you get the more you get more performance out of it. So I have been using map 2 for pretty much all of this time. Map 1 was used for short periods, but I didn't really like it so much. It's not that noticeable over stock. Map 2, yeah, it is noticeable. See, this roll-on acceleration, for example, with that much throttle input, yeah, that probably didn't look like anything dramatic, but in stock form, the bike would have struggled. So the road on the right there, that's a containment zone. Nobody's allowed in or out. So so as I said, the improvement is there, but it's not that dramatic, as is expected, of course. You know, the Interceptor in its stock form has a slightly lagging throttle response, especially in the lower RPM ranges, you know, say below 4,000. Yes, there is torque even as low as 2,000. It won't stall, it will keep going, but when you accelerate from lower RPMs, say even at 3,000 RPM or so, the response isn't that great in stock form. But see, now so much better. And if you have been following my older videos, older as in my earlier videos, you would have noticed that I've complained about the throttle response on this bike a few times. You know, the amount of throttle you need to give it for it to respond is quite a lot. And also, if you watch my Yelagiri video, I was kind of struggling while going uphill, especially in the hairpins, because, you know, in those tight hairpins, when you have to downshift, blip the throttle just the right amount, I was struggling there to blip it. You know, it wasn't, I mean, I was blipping the throttle, but as I was blipping the throttle, the engine wasn't responding as I wanted it to, so the downshifts were not that smooth. Of course, this has a slipper clutch, so you don't really notice it, but I could tell, you know, that the revs are not matching the lower gear. And also, to keep the bike balanced in those tight hairpins, where you need to give it just the right amount of throttle, you know, to keep the revs where you want it, I was struggling there. I couldn't give it the right amount of, couldn't get the right amount of revs that I wanted in that situation. So the line I was taking through those hairpins wasn't quite right, and that was making me a little uncomfortable. So yeah, since the Powertronic, I haven't gone to similar situations like you know, hill rides, but I think the throttle response is a lot better. It does feel better. The Interceptor engine, you know, on the higher rev range, say above 5,000 or 6,000, it has really good power. But since I have been riding the Harley for such a long time, I'm kind of used to that low down torque, which is not that great on this bike. In fact, I think that's pretty much the case for most bikes, right? Harley being one of the exceptions. Other cruisers, similar V-twin cruisers, would have a similar characteristic to that of the Harley, you know, as in having lots of torque low down, but not having much power in the higher ranges. And practically speaking, that is more beneficial, I think, because most of the time when you're riding on public roads, you use the lower RPM ranges more than the higher ones. So having good torque in the lower RPMs, I think that's more fun, it's more beneficial. So the Powertronic gives the Interceptor a bit of that, you know. It makes the low end a little more enjoyable. So Yeah, so that's on the stock map. Well, not the stock map. What I mean is the map that you get with the Powertronic. Of course, both of these maps are editable. You can change the values how you want. So I'm kind of thinking of, doing a bit of experimentation, but I need to study on this topic a little more before I can confidently do that. So what I'm thinking is, in the lower RPM ranges, the Powertronic may not be doing a lot, primarily to keep the fuel consumption low, because India is obsessed with fuel consumption, and the Powertronic being primarily for the Indian market, they have to consider the impact on the fuel consumption. So for most normal riding scenarios where your RPMs would be in the lower half, they have made the maps such that your fuel consumption doesn't get affected too badly. So I think if I make some more tweaks to those values in the lower ranges, maybe I can improve the performance even more. As it is now, the higher ranges, say about 5,000 or 6,000, it's really good. I mean, it was quite good even in stock form, and with the Powertronic it's even better. It's better throughout the rev range, in fact, but I feel the lower range could be a little better still. So yeah, I'm gonna study that topic a little and try to make some changes. Of course, that's gonna take some time, so don't wait for that, guys. But yeah, whenever I do make some changes and I've come up with some some conclusions on how those changes affect the performance, I'll definitely share with you. So is the Powertronic worth it? Now that's the tricky question. It is quite expensive. It's around I paid around 22,000 rupees. That's like $300 US. So that is quite expensive. But if you look at the performance gains from it, just by looking at it, it doesn't seem worth it. At least by Indian standards, it doesn't seem like that much of an improvement to spend that much money on. But at the same time, if you consider the price of the bike itself, which is so low, and think of it this way, consider the Powertronic a necessary upgrade after you get the bike. So if you consider that price as say the total cost of the bike, as the cost of the bike plus necessary upgrades, then I think overall the deal is quite good, because now with the Powertronic, this bike actually feels like a fun bike, something I look forward to riding. Because otherwise, before that, I was having some doubts on my purchase decision, especially on the performance front. It wasn't bad, but wasn't quite thrilling, wasn't quite what I was looking for in a bike. So the Powertronic, that thing is gone. Now it's really quite good. Again, not a huge difference, but just enough to matter, let's say. So this thing, for example, that acceleration there with It wasn't full throttle, probably not even half throttle, and I got a satisfactory performance there. In stock form, that would be a little frustrating. So yeah, to me it does matter. Again, just by looking at the price of the Powertronic itself, it's a bit hard to justify that cost, but if you consider it as part of the whole package, you know, low cost bike plus some additional upgrades to make it really good, I think it's worth it. What's going on here? See, I was telling you, traffic is back to normal, but it's still a little unorganized. In India, it's always unorganized, isn't it? See, downshifts. That blipping of the throttle, that was the right amount. It's still a little laggy, you know, but much better than stock. Also, I think the engine sound has improved a little. And by the way, I'm running the stock pipe, the stock slip-on still, but I have upgraded my air filter to a freer flowing version. Now I have upgraded just the filter element to something similar to the K&Ns or the DNA ones, you know, the oil-based filters. In place of the stock paper element type. So that also could be contributing a little to the performance. But they do say, you know, that to really get the benefits of the Powertronic, you should switch to a free flow intake and also a free flow exhaust. But I have not changed my exhaust. I still have the stock slip-on. So if I do upgrade to a freer flowing exhaust, then I may get more performance. I'm not sure if I need to change the map values for that, or the current one, the standard one from Powertronic, if that's gonna be enough. But I do think the standard Powertronic map is designed for the stock configuration, you know, with the intake and exhaust. So, but yeah, I'm really not sure if I want to change the exhaust yet, because, you know, yeah, the sound is good. It could have been better. Could have been a little louder, but then, you know, how I feel about the sound on long rides. You know, the quieter it is, the better it is for your ears, it's more comfortable and so on. And as it is, the stock exhaust sound isn't bad, and also it's street legal. Any modifications, any aftermarket exhausts in India, they're all illegal. So yeah, for peace of mind, it's a little better to stick with the stock. But yeah, as I was saying, you know, after installing the Powertronic, I feel the exhaust is just so slightly louder. I'm not sure if it's an actual observation or something placebo, but it does feel slightly louder. Not sure why that would be, or why that could be. Maybe with the mixture being richer, it burns with more of an explosive sound or whatever. One other thing, one other observation I have, something important, before the Powertronic, I was having some trouble with starting the bike sometimes, not always, but it was getting more and more frequent. I would start the bike, it would come alive and immediately go off, and that is with the throttle closed, as you're supposed to do on fuel injected engines. You're supposed to start without any throttle input, and the ECU is supposed to take care of giving it the right throttle and mixture and so on. It would happen initially, it would happen with the warm engine, not with the cold engine, strangely. But later on it started happening with the cold engine as well. So yeah, I really wasn't sure what was causing it, but with the Powertronic it's completely gone. So I'm thinking to meet emission norms, the stock map might be too lean, way too lean, so sometimes wouldn't be able to start, and that might also be the reason why I would have that laggy throttle response and the laggy performance in that 3,000 to 4,000 RPM range. So now that the mixture is a little richer, that problem is probably gone. And that's just my guess, that's what I think could be the reason. I probably need to check my spark plugs after a while to see how the mixture is, and that would also be an indication to me on whether or not I can make it a little richer still. Oh, by the way, talking about mixtures, how is the impact on the fuel economy? In these 2 weeks I have refueled twice. So the first run, that was partially in the stock form and partially with the Powertronic, and the mileage I got was pretty similar to what I used to get in the stock form, around 28, 29 kilometers to the liter. That is actually on the higher side. In stock form it would range from say 24 to 30, so 28, 29, that's on the higher side of that range. And then the next tankful was entirely on the Powertronic, mostly on map 2, and the mileage I got was 21 kilometers to the liter, which was a significant drop. I haven't had anything below 24 earlier in the stock form. So 21 is a significant drop, but I'm quite okay with it, I wouldn't mind even if it was as low as 17, because that's what I used to get on my Harley. So yeah, those are just my first impressions. It's still too early to give you a really detailed review. So yeah, that'll take a while, and as I said, once I try doing some tuning and I get some results from those, I'll definitely let you know. So that's all I have regarding the Powertronic. Apart from that, how are things? Yeah, as I was saying, the lockdown has been eased quite a bit, but the situation with the disease, that's not getting any better. It's in fact getting worse every day. So I really don't know how this is going to end up. And containment zones popping up all around here in Bangalore. Almost every other day you hear about a new containment zone coming up. We're just worried that if the place we live in, that becomes a containment zone, then can't go in or out, and then food supplies and everything might become a challenge, and that's going to last for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm just sick of wearing the masks all the time. Whenever we're outside the whole day at work, it's really difficult. It makes me feel sick. I mean, literally sick from from the breathing difficulties. But as they say, this is the new normal, so don't know how much longer we're gonna have to live like this. So yeah, almost at work now, so I'm gonna sign off today. Catch you soon, hopefully, with another topic. I should be doing my Vespa long-term review shortly. Well, long-term is relative, but I just completed 1 year with the Vespa. So yeah, that's coming up. So yeah, that's all, guys. Walter 42 signing off. Bye bye.